YouTube? Welcome back to our channel, The Art of Opinion. My name is Shalana and I'm here with
Crystal,
Onisha, Kalima.
And our topic today is being a millennial and having to move back in with your parents. I know I am currently going through that this weekend. But before we get into that discussion, I need you guys to like, comment, and subscribe. I need you guys to click the notification. And in the comments below, let us know what you think about being a millennial. If you had to move back, if it's not an option, like you're like, hell no, I'm not going back with my parents. Let us know what you think, but we are going to discuss about this.
Now tuned into the greatest. Turn the music up in the headphones. Tim, you can go.
I currently am, me, my fiance, and my dog are actively moving back into my mom's house, and it has been hell. My mom, as you guys know, my mom shops a lot. There's absolutely no room for us to move into. So, you know, that's our struggle, but I know what our goal is. We want financial freedom, and we have credit card bills. We have, you know, different types of things. We want to plan a wedding, and we need to do that. We need to be at her house in order to save to be able to do those stuff. So I know, Kalima, you are currently living at your dad's house, and you've been for a couple months.
Ooh.
How has that been?
Yeah, I mean, so I moved back in with my dad in July, this past July, and my fiance and myself decided to do that so we can cut back on expenses. So our financial goal was, as you said, financial freedom. Like at 30, we want to be able to say, like, you know what, we're owning businesses and we're actually cutting down on expenses that we don't really need. So my dad has been extremely supportive. He's been someone that's actually been like, you could have moved in years ago. But in terms of like my fiance's circumstance, it's a little bit different. So we're trying to work together to figure out ways in which we can support each other, but we've made a lot of strides in terms of like figuring out ways and being creative in ways on how we can actually bring both of our families together so they can both understand where we're coming from and how to support us. Yeah.
And what do you guys feel about it?
Well, for me, I did move back in with my dad a couple years ago. It was because of work. They had cut my hours, so I needed to. I couldn't afford living on my own by myself anymore, you know? So I think that it's a great thing. It's smart to do, to save your money if you're working, you know, and going to school. Like so if you're working, you can save. If you're going to school, you don't have to worry about working, because if you have the type of parents where you don't have to pay rent, you know. And so I think it's great. But in my circumstance, it depends. I feel like, how is your family life? Because for me, I don't really get along with certain members of my family, so that was a struggle for me. I feel like mentally, psychologically, you know, like it just messes with your psyche. So I had to get out of there. That's what this had to get for me. So now currently I'm living on my own. I live with my sister. But yeah, it's my opinion.
So I have a kind of different take. So my husband and I, we're in a place in our life where, like, okay, what's our next step? So our next step is what? Start a family. Start a family, okay, we want to have a home. So we're like, okay, what are we going to do? So we're trying to decide whether or not we're going to go forward with getting a home and having my mom with us. I'm like, you know, she's single, she's not married. So I'm like, she could bring more structure to our household. Like, you know, once we have kids, it would be beneficial to have another adult in the house to help us, you know, keep our structure, raise our kids, and, you know, just be supportive to us. Because, you know, we're both working full time. So I think that it would be nice to have an extra adult in the house. So it's like, it's not moving back home, but it's like maybe creating a home with our parents. So it's kind of similar. But like the whole idea of moving back home, I feel like it's more of like an American, almost like a stigma, where people think it's like, oh, I don't want a guy who lives at home with his mom and blah, blah, blah. But I think that if you have a guy who's working full time, working hard, and trying to achieve a goal for the future, but currently he's staying at home, I think that's a smart decision, because why should you be out there paying rent when you can stay at home, especially in a home that your parents own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you're going to pay anything, pay into that and then up the, you know.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just feel that some people think of it as a negative when you're at home, but
It can be
It
a
could.
negative though. It depends.
I think it depends on the motivational level.
Yeah, because
If they're
what if the person
motivated-
is a bum? You know.
no, they can't be a
You know?
bum. They have to work.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
They're working
You
full
need to
time.
do something with
They
your
have a
life.
goal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if they're just living at home, not working, just
What's the word? Unambitious.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay,
They're not
okay.
ambitious. They're just
Yeah.
home and they could be doing things, but they're not.
Just sitting on their
Then
butt
that's
playing
a
video
problem.
games, having their
Wasting
mother
time.
come and do their laundry.
No.
No, ew, that's not attractive. That's
Yeah.
no.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we didn't even pay a lot of money for rent. It's just the fact of, we work or go to school and stuff like that, and just putting that little bit of money into rent to pay someone else's mortgage, just, it wasn't fitting with me. I'm like, this money could just go to something else.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So that is like really the benefit for us,
Yeah.
So
That's true.
I think so.
Yeah.
Anything else?
I think it's important to note like you were mentioning like the cultural differences, like and how it's like an American like idea to move back home. But like for instance, my dad, he's from Ghana, like he's not American. And I think it's important, like he always had that like communal sense of like he wants all of his family with him. If he had it his way, he would always want that. But now it's like I think generationally as well, aside from cultural, like we're dealing in a space where most millennials have to move back home because like economically we can't sustain ourselves any other way.
No.
Yeah.
So
expensive.
it's too expensive.
Yeah.
Like you need multiple incomes in order to like
survive.
Like there's no such thing as residual income anymore.
Yeah.
Whereas in like back in the day it was. So like you could actually on one income have a house. Like nowadays you can't do that. And like on top of student loan debt and credit cards, like we're all facing the reality of like in some way, shape, or form out of college you have to move back home. So yeah, that's
Another
worth
thing
mentioning.
I wanted to touch on, how you were saying, Onisha, about and it's like kind of an American stigma, like it does. Maybe it might not look so good for millennials to like move back home with their parents, like it's weird. But I think that it's becoming more the norm nowadays. I feel like everyone. I feel like if you're living on your own, wow.
Yeah.
Like,
How could you do that?
Yeah, exactly. And so I feel like everyone lives with, like, who cares? Everyone, as long as you're working, like you said, like you're doing something, yeah.
I still feel that sometimes you do, like, I don't know how I was going to feel about, like, if my pride is going to be like, oh, I'm not telling no one I'm moving home. Because I feel like you still see people, because I feel like, especially with social media, everyone's fronting like they have this life, that they're able to afford this and do that. No one's posting, like, I can't afford this. Like, I'm behind on a bill. You know what I mean? Like, it's always just
They're
like...
not going to tell the truth on social media.
Yeah, so it looks like everyone's life is together and your life is falling apart and you're like, I have to move back home.
No,
Exactly.
everybody's going through similar things, whether they're moving back home, or they're picking up another job, so that's less time at their home just to afford to live in that spot, or picking up jobs that don't make you happy and you don't enjoy, and it's just for a job. Like Kalima was saying, like generational. Like I remember my grandparents. My grandma never worked. She like had odd jobs here and there. She babysat, but like they were able to have a home with my grandpa's salary. And that was those were the times. But now it's not. You can't do that. It's very. I'm not saying you can't do it, but it's just difficult to survive on one income.
Yeah, it's nearly impossible. It's nearly impossible. I would say like
nearly.
Unless you're making like those high figures.
Yeah.
But then I feel like if you're at that level in your career, then you have a sacrifice where I feel like maybe your home work balance isn't there. So I don't know.
And do you think it's harder for us because we're in New York? Like maybe if we talk to people in a different state, they'll be like, "Oh no, we're fine on that," you know?
You know what? Maybe because very expensive, especially the city,
Mm-hmm.
which I live in.
Mhm.
And yeah, when I look at other places like rent, whoa, like I could definitely, I could be saving money living somewhere else. But you know, if you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere. You
Yeah,
know,
because the rent is expensive. Like, I was looking at other places and I saw an apartment. It was in somewhere in North Carolina. It was $730 for a 2-bedroom, 2.5 bathroom.
Yeah.
I was like, it was like a townhouse. I was just like, you can't get.
And I bet it was big.
You can't even get a 1-bedroom. You can't even get a studio for that.
No,
You
I-
can't. You can't.
You can't get anything.
You can't even
you
get-
rent a room.
Yeah, that's what
No,
she
rent
said.
a room.
You know, I know you see these like
And
rent
a really
prices.
small dingy
Yeah.
room at that.
Yeah, you see these rent prices. I'm like, oh, that's good. It's a room.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh.
A room.
Yeah.
There's no way.
Actually, can we speak on something? The first time I ever lived on my own, I had moved in with my best friend's grandmother in Harlem. I was living in Harlem, and I rented out a room, and the rent was like, it was $500. It was right next to the school I was going to at the time, City College. Anyway, yeah, that's the story I was saying when I had to move back with my dad because my job cut my hours. Like I wasn't making enough to pay my little rent. So back then I thought $500 was super expensive because it was just a room. I was like, I have no privacy really because, you know, and I was like, this is, and not that it was dingy. I liked it. I really loved Harlem, but wasn't worth no $500. But I guess, I mean, and the room was not, I'm not going to say it was small, but yeah, not worth no $500. Now look, nowadays you can't find nothing for $500.
She probably did that because you were her friend's, her
Yeah,
granddaughter's
that's
friend.
probably.
That's why. 'Cause
And
other
I
than
thought
that,
she was ripping me off.
$500,
No, my dad thought she was ripping me off.
Yeah.
But she wasn't. She wasn't. That was like a discount. You know.
Yeah. It's expensive. It's expensive.
It's
Any way you look at it. Yeah.
But that's it for our discussion. But please comment below and let us know what you guys think about it. Have you guys ever experienced it, like I said before? But that's all for now. We'll see you in our next video. Bye.